All right, guys, the big one. This is my main event. First of two title fights. I think this is everyone else's main event. Max Holloway versus Alexander Volkanovski. This is a trilogy fight I didn't really think would happen, being that Alexander Volkanovski's ego is as big as that egghead that he has. I made a video back in April after Alexander Volkanovski beat Korean Zombie, saying how he's probably one of the biggest paper champions in UFC history. He's just one of those champions that you can't really legitimize. However, Alexander Volkanovski has the chance to shut me the absolute hell up if he can go out there and win on Saturday night. And not just win, but win emphatically. Let's dive right into it. So, Alexander Volkanovski, I didn't really start hearing about him until 2018 when he fought Chad Mendes. Not only fought him, but he beat him. Not only did he beat him, he annihilated him. He finished him the same way, almost the same way that Conor McGregor finished him. Then he fought Jose Aldo. That was a very technical fight. It was a very good fight. I recommend you go and watch it. And he won. And that fight got him the title shot. Not only a title shot, but he was the backup for when Max Holloway fought Frankie Edgar in July of 2019. So, with Holloway defeating Edgar, that's when he got the title shot against Holloway back at UFC 245, December 2019. Seems like forever ago. So that fight happened, and it was a very close fight. I said this about, what fight did I say this about? I think I said this about, it'll come back to me. I said this about a certain fight, that there's not enough draws in the UFC. There's just not. Like there is boxing. There's not enough draws. And if boxing and mixed martial arts are predicated on the same scoring system, then you got to have more draws in MMA. But again, these judges are really fucking dumb, and I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole just yet. I felt the first fight between Volkanovski and Holloway should have been a draw. I felt that Holloway did enough to stay in the fight, but he didn't do enough to win. Same with Volkanovski. I thought he did enough to win some rounds, but not win the fight. The judges gave it to him. You know, you can't really get mad at it, but like I said, that first fight should have been a draw. Max used his jab. He used his 1-2 very well. He used his bread and butter. Volkanovski, seems like he won that first fight by just leg kicks, which is a form of damage, which is a form of aggression. So I could see how the judges gave it to Volkanovski, but like I said, should have been a draw. Second fight, though, came around, UFC 251, smack dab in the middle of the pandemic, Fight Island, Abu Dhabi. And we all thought, okay, how are things going to be different this time? Volkanovski had a hard training camp, whereas the story going into that second fight was Max didn't really have a training camp. He trained via Zoom with his coaches. Didn't spar. Hit mitts here and there, but mostly hit the heavy bag. Max came out crisp. Crisp as the chicken at Cane's on a Friday night. He came out so crisp that I dropped a YouTube short saying that Max Holloway got robbed in that second fight. And people are like, oh, you can't just look at the numbers. You can't just look at certain things. You can't look at this. You can't look at that. First of all, these numbnuts don't know what they're talking about because the numbers never lie. I know it's unofficial, but still, why the fuck are they up there then? You know what I mean? It's very stupid how people try to contradict my case on how Holloway got robbed. First round, Holloway dropped Volkanovski with the head kick. It was a close round. But Holloway had the bigger moment in that round, which is dropping Volkanovski with the head kick. Second round was close, but Holloway outstruck him, landing 1-2s, kicks to the body, kicks to the legs, was more aggressive than Volkanovski ever was in that second round, and dropped him again with an uppercut. So that's already 2 rounds banked for Holloway. Third round, no one got dropped, but Holloway used his range, used his jab, used his kicks, used his elusiveness, used his octagon distance to really get out of the way of Alexander Volkanovski's biggest punches and biggest kicks, which were his key to victory in the first fight. He didn't drop him, like I said, but he did land more, and he did piece Volkanovski up really good. I had Max win in that third round as well, and all Volkanovski really did in those final 2 rounds was take down Max and basically hold him down. He didn't take him down and land big ground and pound. No, those takedowns did little to no damage. And I'm like, okay, Volkanovski definitely got those last 2. But Holloway got 1 through 3, and rightfully so. However, the judges saw it a different way, and they gave it to Volkanovski again. I remember watching this fight at a friend's house, and he was going for Volkanovski. He had money riding on Volkanovski, quite a bit of money. And when the judge's scorecard was being read, he went into the other room. I think before then, I think in like the third round, he went into the other room because he couldn't watch the fight anymore. He came back, found out Volkanovski won, and he's like, he did not win that fight. Half of the MMA world, not only half, more than half of the MMA world knows that Max Holloway won that fight. They just know. And if you look at the live Twitter posts by celebrities and fans when the fight was going on, everyone was saying Volkanovski lost. Everyone was saying Holloway won 3-2. Maybe Volkanovski got one other round, but whoever thought that is absolutely fucking ridiculous. Absolutely fucking stupid. And I was pissed. Because Volkanovski's like, I'm an Aussie bloke. I defeated Max Holloway twice. Put some respect on my name. I trained with Thor, blah, blah, blah. Okay, slow down. You didn't beat him. Everyone knows you didn't beat him. So again, no one wanted to see that third fight right off the bat. Holloway went and fought Cater, which was probably his best performance ever, and went and fought Yair Rodriguez in a potential fight of the year candidate. His last 2 wins came in the middle of the pandemic and were probably the most impressive wins of his career outside of a title fight. Volkanovski, on the other hand, sure, other contenders were found formidable, as in Brian Ortega. Coached a season of tough with him. Came out, absolutely demolished Brian Ortega, although he was in that guillotine choke and he was in that triangle choke and was that close from losing his belt. He still came and prevailed. I'll give Volkanovski that he shown heart. But Brian Ortega wasn't the right opponent to be in that octagon with him the night of September 25th of 2021. Then this past April, he defeated the Korean Zombie. And I also made another video as to how Korean Zombie is absolutely overrated. He is probably one of the most overrated fighters in UFC history. Just because he has some wild fights, don't make him formidable for a title shot. Absolutely not. That's ridiculous. But back to the second Volkanovski Holloway fight. That fight was a lot like Peter Yan versus Aljamain Sterling 2. Whereas Aljamain Sterling completely banked the first 3 rounds, but Sterling lost the last 2. But the judges still gave it to Sterling. They got that one right. I'm just saying, if someone wins 3 rounds, there's no way if a person gets the takedowns in the 4th and the 5th, they should come back and win the fight. Absolutely not. That shouldn't work like that. So I just had to throw that in there real fast. But you can make the argument that Holloway has fought the better competition than Volkanovski. Like I said, Brian Ortega coming off almost a year layoff. Almost like a 3-year layoff if you really think about it. Fought him, demolished him, mollywopped him. Then the Korean Zombie, who, like I said, is probably the most overrated fighter in the UFC. That's it. And we saw what Volkanovski did to him. This fight is big. It is not only big for the sport, it's big for the entire featherweight division. It's big for the landscape on who's going to get the next title shot. It's big for Holloway's career. It's big for Volkanovski's career. That's why it's my main event, because it is a way bigger fight than the middleweight title fight I will talk about in another video. The only way Volkanovski can get the respect of not only me, but the entire MMA world is if he goes out there and absolutely annihilates Max Holloway. Not win. He's won, but they were both pretty controversial. The second one especially. He can't win by a decision. He just can't. The only way he can win by a decision is if he 10-8s Max every single round. If he absolutely whoops Max's ass 4 or 5 rounds, that's the only way he could win a decision. But if it goes to split, he's not going to get the respect of the MMA masses because it'll still be a controversial decision in my eyes and in everyone else's eyes. If he knocks out Max or submits Max, he will get the respect he deserves as a champion because he finally defeated one of the greatest featherweight champions of all time. But that's not going to fucking happen. He had his chance. He had his title. I know people could say the same about Max, but Max, I think, has gotten better. He's fought the better competition. Volkanovski has not. He did what he was supposed to do in those fights, but still, nothing really came. Volkanovski is who we thought he was. I think Holloway gets the job done. I do. I think he has something up his sleeve that only he knows and his coaches know. No one else knows. And I think Volkanovski is in for a rude awakening. And he's going to realize that, hey, he was an overrated champion. And that last win was a very fluke win. And with that being said, I got Holloway winning third round TKO. I think he drops Volkanovski with a big 1-2 down the middle and just tees off on his big-ass egghead. And is going to put a dent in Volkanovski's ego because Volkanovski hasn't really – he's been dropped, but I think what Max is going to do to him is going to really hurt him. Like, he got dropped against Holloway, but they're kind of like flash knockdowns. They're like, all right, I'm back up, but I'm fine. This one, he's going to be like, what the hell just hit me? That's just my opinion. And, you know, when Holloway wins, I think we'll have the first ever fourth trilogy fight in UFC history. Fourth meaning that there's never been a fourth fight in a trilogy in UFC history ever. There's been some in boxing. First one that comes to mind is Pacquiao and Marquez, but this will be the first in UFC history. So like I said, I got Holloway winning third round TKO, and I think he gets his belt back and he shuts the door and proves that those two wins that Volkanovski had on him were obsolete.